Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I'm your host, Sergeant John Perrine, the Public Information Officer for the Indiana State Police Indianapolis District. The Roadshow is brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the State Police Alliance. For more information about our sponsor, visit www.indianasfinest.com. I want to thank Network Indiana for getting us on the radio, producer Matt Hiblin for getting us recorded and out there, and of course, Tom Trial, the man behind the camera that works so hard to get the shows on the Indiana State Police YouTube channel. Yeah. If you're bored, if you've exhausted all of your streaming services and you want some free entertainment, yep, go to the Indiana State Police YouTube channel. Right there, you can watch hours and hours of things.
That's an online history class in and of itself.
And it's really cool. And it is one of those types of things where you watch a video and then as you're watching it, you watch the next one, the next one, the next. Yeah. Before you know it, you're binge watching the ISP YouTube channel.
Right, yeah.
So, hey, thanks to our guest for coming back again is Captain Ron Galvez, Chief PIO for the State Police.
John, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
It's that time of year, and it's the year that you wish we didn't have to remind folks, but it's always worthy of a conversation. And that is New Year's Eve, the consumption of alcohol, partying, and then getting behind the wheel of a car.
Right. Far too often. Again, as we continually relay these messages for all the holidays, but especially the new year, it's still unfortunate to see the tragedies that occur on our roadways because of the irresponsibility of getting behind the wheel after consuming alcohol. So, again, this is a very important message. We hope we don't sound like a broken record, but it could truly save the life of you or somebody that you know and love.
And you're right. When we respond to those crashes, the tragedies that we see, the lives that are taken completely preventably,
yes,
they have a ripple effect. Mm-hmm. They don't only affect the person who made the choice and their families, but the first responders on those scenes. Those images get burned into our minds that when we close our eyes, we can see almost everyone we've been to.
And I think as people drive by these scenes and they see law enforcement, paramedics, firefighters doing the things that we do unfortunately every day and so many times a day throughout the state and across the country, I think there's a sense of another crash scene. It's another this and so I think maybe even at times the public might even get to be a little numb or dulled to it, and I think they perceive that being the case with us. But I assure you, it's not. Especially when it involves young people, children. Especially, but again, not to diminish it, because again, you're exactly right, John. The ripple effect it's significant. It really is.
Yeah, and although we're talking about New Year's Eve specifically, this information is valid 365 days a year. I mean, alcoholic beverage is out there. It's available to consume if you're 21 years old and you're doing so legally. But it should never be mixed with driving a car. There's too many options out there. In the year 2023 that we're coming up on. Just the technology at your fingertips to have a ride home within minutes is almost available anywhere.
Oh, absolutely. There's no excuse here in the metropolitan area. But even when you get into the rural areas, there are other options.
Well, everybody's got a cell phone. At least call a buddy.
Exactly.
I want to be that buddy. Yep. And I've always told my friends, if you don't know who else to call and your option is either wake up John Perrine and have him come pick me up and drive me home safely, or try to make it home, every single time I want that phone call.
Absolutely.
And I imagine most of your friends do too.
Yes, there's no question, and I've been that phone call at midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and again, same thing.
You may not be happy about it, but you're certainly going to help.
Oh, for sure, and we try to get over there before they change their mind, and it's again, it's being an adult and it's being responsible. Yeah. I mean, bottom line.
Speaking of responsibilities, Ron, what responsibilities do people have that are hosting a party? What are some things that maybe they should think about if they're hosting a party at their house that involves alcohol as the guests arrive?
Yeah, you know what? I think if you're coming in a group from a single vehicle, you might want to right away just identify, hey, which of you is driving? And if it's not your car, maybe take the keys from the owner and hand it over. So aside from the holiday spirits that will be offered, maybe have some non-alcoholic options for those folks that are going to be the responsible, the DD, so to speak. Yep. So whether it's a soda, water, anything without alcohol that's going to impair their ability to drive.
Yeah, and if you're not going to a private party, but you're going out, a lot of places have incentives for that designated driver, whether it be free soft drinks or whatever it may be. think about that, because there's nothing wrong with being the designated
No,
driver.
not at all.
I am almost always. I don't drink at all. So if I'm out, I'm willing to be that person. Certainly for that. But
and I think what a lot of it does too, John, it shows, especially if you're going out places with your family, and you're going to maybe go to another friend's family. You got your kids. You're setting an example for what your kids' behavior could be down the road. So if nothing else, be the superhero in your family. Be that beacon of light that tells your kids, hey, here's the right thing to do and here's the wrong thing to do. And, maybe start setting that example early, something for them to emulate.
Well, speaking of kids too, recently the Indiana legislators passed a law enhancing a DUI. If you have somebody in the car under 18, I think 18, if you have a kid in the car and you're driving drunk, it's automatically a felony, regardless of what your level of impairment is.
Yep. There's too much risk out there. And there's no excuse to put the lives of other people at risk because of your responsibility. Also, for those of our listeners that have college age kids, relatives, or friends here, my daughter was a freshman at IU, so this was back in 2014, as far back as 2014, I believe. A law was enacted that it's the Lifeline law.
Yes,
and
very important.
And it allows for those that are under the age of 21 that find themselves at a party, for example, and there's an emergency, whether it be an overdose, alcohol poisoning, what have you, allows somebody from that party, from that gathering, to call 911 and basically be that lifeline to help first responders get there without fear of prosecution if they themselves have been drinking.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad you bring that up because that is a valuable law. So if you're at a party and you're consuming alcohol illegally underage, but somebody gets hurt, somebody goes unconscious.
Right.
We don't want you to have to think, well, I'm going to drive this person to the hospital because I don't want to call the police, or I'm not going to call,
or I'm not going to stick around because I may get arrested. Now, again, we don't condone the underage drinking, but again, we know things happen.
Sure.
And so, but again, yes, if you find yourself in that position, certainly have the confidence to step forward and help without fear of reprisal.
Yeah, and so many of the drunk drivers that I've arrested, so many of them will say on the way to the jail, I thought I was okay to drive. Mm-hmm. And so what I tell people is if you are out somewhere and you're consuming alcohol and the question comes to your mind of, am I okay or not? Always err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
The answer is no.
Yep.
If you have to question yourself, most people say, well, I only had 2 beers, which we know is oftentimes not the case, but alcohol affects everybody differently. Mm-hmm. So 2 beers for one person versus another person could completely change their impairment.
And then that conversation sometimes goes from, I thought I was okay, to, okay, this is real. I'm really going to jail. Now it becomes your fault, Mr. Police Officer. You're going to make me lose my job. You're going to make me lose my family. And if I've heard that once, I've heard it 1,000 times, and nothing could be farther from the truth because I didn't put you in this position.
Yeah.
You put yourself in this position.
One time I was patrolling overnight, and it was 2:00 in the morning or so, and I came across this minor crash on 96th Street in Indianapolis, and 2 female drivers were friends, had left the bar. One of them stopped at the red light, one of them didn't. She rear-ended her friend. They were both intoxicated. Both of them got arrested for a DUI. So talk about, but thankfully nobody was hurt.
Yeah.
And that was one of the stories that we can tell where, you can recover from that. You're involved in a crash that kills somebody, kills you obviously, or hurts somebody bad. That's really, really hard to recover from. And it all comes down to a decision that somebody made.
Right. Absolutely. And it's a very simple decision that, again, I'm calling the John Perrines of the world, Ron Gallivan. There's somebody out there that I can call that will be happy. We'll be thrilled to come pick me up. We'll discuss. We'll discuss. That later.
But again, it's a cab ride, a ride sharing service, whether it's Uber, Lyft, or any of the other ones that are out there. A friend, a family member.
Yeah.
The options are just out there. But the key is, plan for that before you take your first drink.
Absolutely.
Don't wait until it's too late and you realize, I don't have any way to get home. I can't stay here. I don't know what to do. And oftentimes, I know bars will allow you to leave your car in the parking lot overnight and come back the next day. They would rather you do that than try to drive your car home.
Absolutely.
Or maybe you end up somewhere where you didn't plan on drinking, but now you are. Make those plans early.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Again, when you think about all the tragedies that occur out there, and you see some of these things on TV or read them in the newspaper, or online, rather, online, you just, as a policeman, you just shake your head.
Yeah.
Really, that decision was the one that they landed on, and it caused this tragedy.
And those effects are forever for a lot of people.
Yes.
That selfish decision that somebody makes to get behind the wheel after drinking alcohol, it's life-changing for people.
Yep. And regardless of what you hear, this isn't 40 years ago where we just, hey, go hop in the car, we'll give you a ride home. There is no free ride home. The only free ride for somebody that's been drinking and driving is to the county jail.
And New Year's Eve specifically, I know a lot of people out there offer free rides. What a lot of agencies or whoever it may be, they advertise it, but take advantage of those.
Yeah, it's simple. It's simple, and even if it's not, even if you have to pay $100, I'm just throwing a number out there, $100 ride sharing fee because you live maybe outside of a metropolitan area. $100, that's, in my opinion, that's cheap insurance.
Right. Well, and the thing is that if you drive drunk, the best case scenario is that you end up in jail, right? That you're arrested. Hopefully you're not involved in a crash that hurts you or somebody else. But that's going to be way more expensive than $100.
Yep. And then on top of the, but then again, going back to if you do wreck and even injure somebody, now you're talking not only criminal prosecution, but potential civil litigation from the victim's family. So, yeah, again, a ripple effect even on the monetary side.
Yeah, yeah. So, again, we want everybody to be responsible. Think safety. Think about safe ways home. And if you're at a party and you see somebody getting behind the wheel of a car and you can't stop them, call 911. Sure. I know nobody wants to be that person and call that in, but that's easier to do than to attend somebody's funeral or hear about it, somebody else getting hurt.
That's exactly right.
And so again, a lot of options out there. So we've got about 2.5 minutes left here, Ron. Let's flip channels here real quickly because Indiana State Police is getting ready to open a hiring process for troopers.
We are, yes.
And so if you're somebody out there that this show, thinking about drunk drivers and driving drunk, just kind of infuriated you, thinking that people make that decision, here's your opportunity to come join the Indiana State Police and help us make a difference, help us intercept those drunk drivers.
Yep, absolutely. So starting here at the beginning of the new year, beginning of 2023, really any time, but especially then, visit indianatrooper.com. Learn everything there is to know about the Indiana State Police, including doing a ride-along. So if you want to kind of see how our troopers, especially here in the greater Indianapolis area, are doing it, how they're enforcing DUI laws, sign up to do a ride-along. What a great opportunity to see it firsthand and see our men and women in action. Yeah,
so www.indianatrooper.com. All the information you need there. Also, if you want to sign up for a ride-along, that is on that page as well.
Absolutely.
And you're right. What a cool opportunity to see it firsthand. And I remember doing ride-alongs before I was a trooper, and I remember while riding along, arresting drunk drivers and thinking, wow, we maybe just saved somebody's life. Yep. We were the right place, right time.
Yep, absolutely. And again, that's a ripple effect we'll never know about.
That's right. That's right.
On the positive side.
No way we'll ever know what was going to happen in the next minute or so of that. So, well, thank you for coming on. And again, we know this is New Year's Eve. We know that a lot of functions are going to involve alcohol, and that's okay. Celebrate. We have a lot to celebrate. We have a lot to be happy and thankful about. But do so responsibly.
Absolutely. Responsibility is the key.
Yeah. We never, ever want to get behind the wheel of a car after driving drunk. So, again, we want to thank you for listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I'm your host, Sergeant John Perrine, been joined today by Captain Ron Galvez, Chief PIO for the Indiana State Police. We want to remind everybody the Indiana State Police is hiring. You can check out our website at www.indianatrooper.com. Whether you want to be an Indiana State Trooper or you want to take advantage of one of our professional positions to include dispatchers, mechanics, support staff within the headquarters, forensic scientists in our lab. We have a lot of positions available. You can find them all on www.indianatrooper.com. Remind everybody this New Year's Eve and the entire year, make responsible choices, never get behind the wheel of a car after you've been drinking alcohol or you're impaired of any type, because certainly those tragedies have a lasting effect, not only on the families involved, not only on the first responders who respond, but entire communities feel the effect of that decision of driving drunk. Thank you for listening. Drive sober. Everybody buckle their seatbelt, and we'll see you next time.